Let me ask you this. Let me approach this another way. If a state decides to require a voter to prove who the voter says he is or she is, do you consider that racist?
Not at all, sir. Voter identification has been a part of the American theory of democracy almost from the beginning.
You're okay with it?
I support voter identification, yes.
Okay. How about ballot harvesting? And I heard earlier you were talking about letting the tribal elders collect ballot. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where the parties, and believe me, both parties will do it and probably are doing it, pay operatives to go out and help people with their ballots and collect their ballots. Are you okay with that, or are you against that?
I don't think it's an either or situation. I think it depends on what the conditions are, what the rules are, but making it easier for those who want to participate in elections to do so with safely and securely, I think it's.
So you're okay with ballot harvesting?
No, sir, I did not say that. I said, because that is a term of art that encompasses a wide range of behaviors. And even
I'm sorry, but I'm trying to get down from the platitudes and understand what you're for and against.
But sir, what I'm
help me with this. Let's suppose that the Republican Party wanted to hire people to go out and knock on doors of voters and say, have you voted yet with your mail ballot? And they say no, and then the operatives are told to contact the voter and say, let me help you with your ballot. If you have any questions, I can even suggest who you might want to vote for. And after you vote, I'll collect the ballot for you and you make it easy. Is that okay?
Sir, I'm both an attorney and a former legislator, and it is not simply the words that you're saying.
I'm an attorney and a current legislator, and I might trade places with you, but keep going.
And so my point is, as you and I both know, that the context, the rules, and the structure matters. Now, in the very narrow circumstance that you just described, if there are no controls and if it turns into buying votes, of course I object to that.
Okay.
But if you look at the piecemeal components that you're describing, and if we are talking about how do we make it easier for voters to participate in elections, I'm not certain what that looks like, but what you described in this very specific and narrow construct, it sounds like you're in violation of a number of different rules, not the least of which is buying a vote.
Tell me specifically, just give me a list of the provisions that you object to.
I object to the provisions that remove access to the right to vote, that shorten the federal runoff period from 9 weeks to 4 weeks, that restrict the time that a voter can request and return an absentee ballot application, that eliminate.
Slow down for me, because our audio is not real good here.
Certainly.
Could you start over for me?
Certainly.
Thank you, ma'am.
It shortens the federal runoff period from 9 weeks to 4 weeks.
Okay.
It restricts the time a voter can request and return an absentee ballot application.
Right.
It requires that a voter have a photo identification or some other form of identification that they're willing to surrender in order to participate in the absentee ballot process.
If I can stop you, that's where they're going to not comparing signatures, but to voter ID?
Yes, sir. And as Ms. Eiffel has pointed out, we would become only the 4th state in the nation to require voters to put at risk their identity.
What else? What else?
It eliminates over 300 hours of Dropbox availability.
Okay,
it bans nearly all out-of-precinct votes.
Bans what? I'm sorry?
It bans nearly all out-of-precinct votes.
Okay.
Meaning that if you get to a precinct and you are in line for 4 hours and you get to the end of the line and you are not there between 5 and 7 p.m.,
okay.
You
what
have
else?
to start all over again.
Is that everything?
No, it is not. No, sir. It restricts the hours of operation because it now, under the guise of setting a standardized timeline, it makes it optional for counties that may not want to see expanded access to the right to vote. They can now limit their hours. Instead of those hours being from 7 to 7, they're now from 9 to 5, which may have an effect on voters who cannot vote during business hours during early voting.
In terms of voter confidence in our electoral system and perception of voter integrity and and election, let me start over. I'm sorry. In terms of the confidence that Americans have in their electoral system, do you think we're better off having an election day or an election month?
I think we are better off having a process that allows every single American the opportunity to participate in elections. And given that the initial notion of an election day was based on an agrarian economy that no longer exists for millions of Americans, and given the fact that we have a number of Americans who are limited in their access because in states like Georgia, there is no paid time off for voting, I think we have to make every opportunity to make voting accessible to every American. There is no other entity that
let me
would
stop
be
you,
denied.
I've got a bunch of questions for you
Sure.
before you get off the subject and get me off. So you're okay with us not knowing, say, weeks or months after an election who the winner is?
Yes.
Okay.
We have had times in this
Can
country
you
where
tell
we have
me,
not known.
talking about the Georgia bill, help me understand. And I'm not interested in a 30,000 foot view. That's not meant to be a criticism. I'm speaking to myself, I guess. I'm not interested in platitudes. Tell me, you're against the Georgia bill, I gather. Is that right?
I'm against certain provisions of it, yes.
Okay, and I think you've called it a racist bill. Am I right?
I think there are provisions of it that are racist, yes.
Okay.